Hello, everyone. This is part two of my interview with Elizabeth, the lead singer of Clozure. We're going to finish up the interview, and this is going to be a fun time. I am Rocco Cross, the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Rume Show, and my interview be coming up very soon. This is my Grue Rume, and as always, welcome to my nightmare. So stay tuned. And all right, welcome back to Grue, our part two, and you said it's a reformed 2.0, right?
Yeah, we're the reformed, less drunk, clean shaven part of the podcast.
Okay.
No
We're
espresso
gonna
martinis
we're
this
gonna
time
roll with
around.
that. We're definitely gonna roll with that one.
I even look like more like a womanly type right now with my little dress and stuff versus like, what was I wearing last time? I think I was wearing like a body harness and thigh highs and chugging martinis like there was no tomorrow.
both both versions are awesome though. Like this version and the other version, both versions are awesome.
Yeah, same mouthpiece, just different aesthetic. It's like the same text, different font. That's all it is.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm still gonna say the same stuff. I just now I look a little bit more, demure, very mindful.
Okay, here you go. Well, the last time we talked, we were just talking about your tour with Jericho with Fozzy, and you were telling me like how cool it was to hang out with Chris, and then I asked you if there was any stories with Jericho, and you were about to tell me a story with him and your nephew, and then the phone went dead.
I plan things out so well.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm no different than any other girl where I just constantly need to have a charger and be attached to it. So, there's that. But so Chris, basically like my family was like a really big like WWF, AEW, WCW fan. Like I have brothers that are 18 and 17 years older than me. So like I never really had the option of picking what was going to be on the TV. It was my dad and my brothers that like would force me to watch it. So I got raised in like a wrestling family. My nephew, clearly he wrestles Greco. He does everything. And then he also likes show wrestling too. So I basically texted Chris Jericho. Oh, actually I DM'd him. And this is how cool the guy is. I DM'd him and I was like, hey, is it possible to like sneak my nephew into like a VIP? Because I think it was sold out or something. So I wasn't able to like get in there. And he was just like, don't even worry about it. And he literally texted me like, oh, here's my number. Just text me. And I'm like, wow. Oh my God, like, is this like the Chris Jericho that's like texting me? Yeah. Oh yeah. No, trust me. I have his phone on his name contact on my phone is literally like a flexing emoji, Chris Jericho in all like caps, and then a flexing emoji, just so I don't forget. You know what I mean? And I'm like, as if I'm gonna forget the Chris Jericho's in my like phone, but
Yeah, right.
just to really make sure, like pinch myself every time I see it. So the next thing you know, he like comes to my merch table and he's like, hey, I'm leaving my bus right now. Where's your merch table? I'm like, oh, I'm like right across from yours. And he just comes in as like jeans and his t-shirt, like minding his business. Yeah. And like my nephew is lifting something or doing something to help me out with merch. But he has like a little bit of an attitude because like, he's 13 and he's like, oh, I only wanted to be here for the fun parts, not like actually have to like load in and load out and stuff. And all of a sudden Chris Jericho is like, hey, use your knees more. You're going to pull out your back that way. And so my nephew is like, who the freak is telling me right now how to lift a freaking merch box? So he turns around with such a freaking attitude. And next thing you know, it's just Chris Jericho standing there. And he goes, like immediately. And then he was like, hey, I heard your name's Vincent, right? And Vincent, he doesn't know at this rate. I think he planned out what he was going to tell Chris Jericho, but I don't think he actually expected to have like a one-on-one conversation. I think it was just like hey, I'm a big fan. I really love Terrifier. And that's it. Like it was going to be like a go-to like freaking VIP sesh, And now there's like nobody in the room. It's just him, me, and like Chris Jericho. He's got like 50 million questions. I can just see like spiraling through his brain. He goes, yeah, thanks. And then he's like, yeah, so like, I heard you're a fan. Like, do you watch my wrestling? And he's like, yeah, dude, man. I mean, I watch your wrestling. I'm a really big fan of Terrifier. I want to say ahead of time that I apologize because I totally illegally streamed the movie and I already know what the background is. And he goes, I think it's so cool that you're like banned in France now. And like Chris looks at me and he goes, oh, dude, this like kid actually is a big fan. I'm like, you have like no idea, Chris. Like he knows your music,
Yeah.
he knows the movies. And sometimes, you have fans that like you because of the wrestling and they get into your music, or they like your music and they get into wrestling. But like this
Yeah.
kid literally knew all mediums and platforms. So I just thought it was so sweet that like he didn't have to leave his tour bus to say hi and to like make a 13-year-old like moment. But like he made sure to know his like name. He made sure to ask him about like his wrestling. He was like literally like at one point like he was like trying to spar with him and like see like how he was gonna come. And like I have videos of it on my phone where it's like Chris Jericho and like my nephew like sparring for 30 seconds. And I have like the photos and everything too. And he was just very cool because you could see that like, yes, Wiley's a phenomenal performer and he knows how to perform in movies, how to perform in massive arenas with wrestling and perform on stage. Like he's still just like a down to earth, very cool dude. And, with all the tours that I've done previously, like you obviously have those moments where you get to know the artist and everything,
Yeah,
but
of course.
very rarely does the artist like not only cater to you and get to know you, but like they get to know like your family and friends, and like they take it all personal. And so I noticed with, Fozzy, like the whole team, like Chris did that for my nephew, you know, um, what's it called? Damon and Trent. Trent is the like back of hands dude. He was even getting like freaking the what's it called? The set list sheets to give to my
Yeah.
older brother John. You know, um, there's a wrestler called Guerrero, I think Eddie Guerrero, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yes.
He passed when I was young, so I don't really remember
Mhm.
much about him. But my older brother John, who's like 43 years old now, he watched Guerrero, and so like that very cool moment where we're sitting side stage. There's this like beautiful girl. She's got like bell bottoms on. She's all rock and roll. And I'm like, oh my God, I love your shoes. And she was like, oh my God, I love your outfit. And I'm like, oh, I'm like the singer of a band. And she was like, oh, I like Chris Jericho is like my uncle almost. And I'm like, oh, really? That's cool.
What?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, how is he like your uncle? And this is a story I haven't told anybody yet because I don't want to like out her news too much. But she said it was cool, so it doesn't matter now. She was like, oh, well, Chris used to be really close to my dad. And I was like, oh, yeah, who's your dad? And he's like, I think she said Eddie Guerrero. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool. Who the fuck is Eddie Guerrero? I didn't know at the time, you know what I mean? Because we're around the same age. So like when her dad passed, she was only like 2 or 3. I might have only been like 5, I think. So like
Oh.
it was just I wasn't aware. I mean, I remember Chris Jericho. I even remember Goldust because even when Goldust stopped wrestling, he was a very iconic dude that would come back. You know what I mean? And
That's right.
so, and Goldust is ancient. But next thing you know, my brother like turns around, my older brother John. So Vincent just had a one-on-one moment with like, you know, freaking Chris Jericho. Now
Yeah.
my like 43-year-old brother is about to have like a panic attack because he used to love Eddie Guerrero, and I guess he performed in New York like once or twice. And my brother like literally like snuck out of the house to go see Eddie Guerrero. So he like goes over and he's like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. And my brother's like 6'4",
Yeah.
300
Yeah.
pounds, very intimidating dude with like a freaking massive like Mario mustache. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, don't worry about it. This is my brother. He's like a really big fan. And she's like, oh yeah, that's my dad. And he's like, I have so many amazing stories. I'm sorry for your loss. Like she starts like telling him stories about like how he skipped school for it, or the one time that like Guerrero like pointed him out in in the audience. And because my brother was always like a naturally large dude, I guess
Yeah.
like he saw him from the stands and like he's like a 16-year-old boy like sneaking out. And like it was such a sweet moment because Jericho literally made a moment for my nephew. And I'm just excited to start off. It was the first show of the tour. So like the
Oh,
very
that's
first
awesome.
show of the tour, he did that for me. And then next thing Guerrero's daughter is like tearing up with my brother who's tearing up because they're all bonding about this moment that like they both have in common because of their dad. And it's just amazing how with this platform, whether you're a podcaster or like a musician or like a wrestler of some sort, you can literally like pivot or change like the trajectory of like how people view things or create such amazing moments. And who would have thought that like a 25-year-old and like a 40-something-year-old would just get along and be buddy buddy because, you know, what their dad did, you know, 18 years ago. So it was like that show for me was a really like special, memorable one because my mom was there. My nephew was helping load and stuff and talked to Chris. I got his number. So like I felt like I was just cooler, you know, like I'm cool now. I have, you know, like I can hit him up and be like, sup. I won't, but I can, you know. I won't. I don't want him to like think I'm annoying, but I can. And then to have like my brother even have like an aha moment, and like it was weird because he felt one step closer to like someone that he looked up to, and in a weird way she almost felt closer to her father because she was asking questions that like she never got to hear about because she lost him. And we all bonded because I lost my dad 2 years ago. We're talking about like all these amazing experiences, and you know the reason I go on stage as Nikollaj is because it's my last name. It's my father's last name. So that was a way to take my dad everywhere. And so to see my brother like tear up and talk about his dad with this daughter, and then not only explain stories that he remembers of her father to her, but like her asking questions about our dad, it was just a very like full circle moment. And that was the very first show
oh my God,
of our Fozzy tour. And then it only gets better from there. Like it literally only gets better from there. Damon was helping us out, you know, their merch guy, you know, freaking Trent was helping us do sound, was extremely helpful. Like that whole entire Fozzy team. I mean, literally every one of them, Richie, PJ, like Grant, all of them. They are such down to earth people that like if you wanted to spend your money on a VIP experience and actually feel like you're friends with the artists because they give a shit, I would genuinely recommend Fozzy every time. And sometimes it's not worth it, but they literally will have a backdrop for photos and they do a live show for you, a couple songs, they talk to you. Like it's crazy how like down to earth that they are.
Oh my God. And plus now you're actually going on the cruise too now, right?
So
like you're gonna be doing
we may, I think right now it's still in the works because we're trying to figure out how to schedule our studio time and the cruise. And as much as we want to get on this cruise because like we've been offered it and like we were more than ecstatic, if we don't get the studio time in the beginning of the year the way we need it to, we just don't have content for the fans. And it's a lot of work, you know, recording, writing. And I think it's also because we're all in different states, my band. But then also the music videos, the freaking PR, management, label, like we chose to do single by single so everyone gets to know us and see what we're capable of with the new lineup just as an artist. But then inherently by doing so, we put a lot of shit on our plate, but we love it and there's like no complaints whatsoever. But we'll see. I think we'll know by the end of December for sure if we're able to schedule the first half of January and then do the second half of January on the cruise. That's the challenge within itself.
Oh, that would be awesome to do like a music video on the Jericho cruise. Like,
I mean, there's literally a song for it too. So like, and we haven't recorded it yet, but it would be dope. And then if you could get like wrestlers in on it, like singing the lyrics, bro, I would lose my mind. Like, I just like my goal, even before I joined Clozure, just in general, was to get like Rhea Ripley to walk out to one of my songs because like I'm obsessed with Rhea Ripley. So to get wrestlers of any sort to be like in a music video or like use my like I would freak out probably just because I was raised with it. So it's crazy to think that like what I love now is somehow going into like what I used to watch before. Like it's just the world works in interesting ways.
oh my God, yeah. And Rhea is awesome. Like I love Rhea too, and she's the WWE girl. So unfortunately, she won't be on the Jericho cruise, but you could probably see her in like anywhere else.
Well, I believe she lives, if I'm not mistaken, in Florida still. So she used to go to a gym that was like 20 minutes away from my house. I went to the gym hoping I didn't bump into her. Like I had questions like, what do you do in order to make your arms look so great? Are you bisexual? Can I be bisexual for you? Like, do you want to get married? Like, there was just a lot of, I love Rhea Ripley. There's not like, I'm not into girls, but like for her, I would really have to look myself in the mirror and question many things. Many,
You're
many
like,
things.
Rhea, okay.
All of a sudden, song content is gonna change. You know what I mean? Like whole new but yeah, so by the end of this month, we'll know. And I pray to God that we're able to somehow book it, because our producer is Malcolm Springer and the guy's constantly booked, and obviously the studio that we're at. So it's getting so many people's contract to all line up, and that's a challenge at times.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. I love it.
It's good
And
problems. Good problems.
exactly. And what do you love most about being on stage? Being on stage and singing to the fans and everything. What do you love most about that?
The connection. So like the things that like really kind of like hit home for me is, well, three things, and I don't know which one I like more. Either when I'm singing The Devil Effect and the
Yes.
people actually chant back to me. We've uploaded videos and I still fangirl whenever I see it. That's never happened. Like I've never had an audience like get it, know it, and like full chants. You know what I mean? Or have audiences like scream your name. And it's weird because like it's like when you're in love and like your loved one calls your name, your name has like more endearment, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
You,
that's
you know what I
true.
mean?
You're right.
Like when you have like a girlfriend or a boyfriend
Yeah.
and they're like, hey, like, you know, whatever your name is, like it just, if it fills you to like a certain degree where like of like love and just like happy and tingliness. So when you create like your baby, whether it's like a song or like the name of your band, and you hear hundreds of people endearingly sing it back to you or like chant your name, that's like, oh my God, you feel like so beyond like just settled and like accomplished. So either that, or when people have the nerve, and I mean this in a good way, when they have the nerve to pull out their phone and they're the front of the stage, because I'm the
Okay.
crazy one that will like lean in and like grab it. And there's like so many tag videos where like someone's Snapchatting it. And I will save the Snapchat, start a whole new Snapchat, and I will either have the whole crowd scream like, hey, so-and-so Snapchat, or if they're recording, I'll like sing to them personally and like
Oh
bring
my
the camera
God.
around stage, just because like when I was little, that would make me freak out. And so like somehow I have that opportunity to like make somebody else freak out. Um, it's awesome. I mean, we had this one kid at Machine Shop. He came and saw us our very first tour when we were with Power Man 5000, and he was a
Okay.
really big fan. And, you know, when we went back to Machine Shop with Chris Jericho, he literally came specifically for us, and it was his birthday. And he brought me like photos of all the photos that he took of me
Oh
from
my
the first
God.
time. Yeah, watching us. And so lo and behold, he's front and center. Like he was waiting to get front and center to watch us. And I just grabbed his phone, and you can literally like hear me tell the crowd to scream happy birthday to him. And like, it was cool because like I've never been so happy before in my life until like what I get to do with the band. So just to be able to just, oh my God, I'm gonna get teary-eyed. Just to be able to like give back a moment or experience, even if it's not
Yeah.
to everybody, but just to help, like it's an amazing thing. So it's almost just like being able to give back. Because sometimes you
Okay.
almost don't feel like you're worth it. You're like, oh my God, why am I getting so lucky? So
Yeah, exactly.
it's the chanting back, the stealing phones and making people, you know, freak out that you have their phone. Or when I'm singing my dad's song, and I get to make eye contact with people that are tearing up, it's a really nice feeling to know that you're not alone. And I think in a weird way, like they see me look at them, and so then they know that they're also not alone. Um, music really does have a way of like healing and like creating amazing memories that you can remember until you're here like 95.
Oh no, it
So yeah,
definitely does you.
that was a
Uh,
very long-winded question, but like it's
um,
hard, dude. Like
it,
you're on stage, it's rock and
it's
roll.
great. I love it.
Yeah, like it's gonna be fun regardless. But that's why there's so many answers. Like I don't even know what to choose.
And when we were talking in person, we were talking about our love for horror. So now I'm going to ask you a bunch of horror questions.
Yes.
And what was the first horror movie you ever watched?
It was Exorcism. Yeah. It was horrible idea. I think I was like maybe 7. Um,
Okay.
like the original Exorcism. I think it was about 7. We were in the back of my old home. There's like windows all across the rooms. And I believe it was my
Mhm.
brother Alex, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I'm too like petrified and like, traumatized that I don't even remember what brother I was with. But my parents weren't home. I was really young and it was raining and they wanted to watch Exorcism. And so the whole entire like back half of the room is just windows and trees and like noise. So yeah, it was traumatizing and the whole like head turn and spin. I was like,
Yes.
looking back at it now, it's like freaking split pea soup. But
Yes.
for
Yes.
6-year-old little Nikollaj, oh my God, that was trauma. And now I somehow like to torture myself and continue to watch scary movies. So clearly there's something there.
What what are some horror films you love to watch besides that one?
I really love The Fourth Kind, which is more of like a psychological thriller.
I know
Um,
which one you're talking about. Yeah.
it's not necessarily scary, but I
Mm.
like I like scary movies that either are like possession based because
Yeah.
I low key believe that like there's some truth to it. Um,
Oh yeah.
I believe in it. Like I'm the psychopath
Yeah.
that if I'm in a different state and I know that they have like a haunting tour or they have old churches and cathedrals and stuff, like even though I don't necessarily believe in like a specific religion and everything, I am very humbled by the concept of like God and good and bad, good versus evil, and just energies in general, entities in general. So I really do love either psychological thrillers where it messes with your head a little bit because it gets
Okay.
you thinking, it gets you talking, or
Oh,
anything to
definitely.
do with like possessions or like demons, the spirit world and whatnot. I actually I don't know if this is gonna be your next question. I just watched Smile 2
I
and
love that. That was so good.
oh my God. First off, I I didn't like Smile 1 that much. Like it wasn't bad, but it just
Mhm.
seemed a little shallow. I don't know if they had a new director or or what, like a new filmer or something, but like the way that they would record going into the city upside down to show like, oh my God, I'm getting chills. I literally just watched it yesterday because I have a dollar theater like next to my house. So I take my nephew like to the theaters like 3 times a week
Oh,
because
nice.
it's like no money. And like even if I get 2 popcorns and sodas and everything, it's like $40, which normally at a theater it's like $30 a ticket. So
Oh, I
we
know. I
literally
know.
just watch movies. It's just for the experience. I mean, now everything is on Netflix, but it's still nice to sit in a theater and like get a popcorn
Exactly.
and have that bonding moment. But the way they recorded, like the cinematography of recording the city upside down after the demons like come out and after
Mhm.
like it's been involved into her life. The way they did like the creepy smiley people, but it was almost like
Yes.
theatrical. Like you could tell that you had to hire professional dancers for them to contort and move the way they did. And then down to just like the eeriness of having like a possessed child or,
Mhm.
it involving like a background of just like a completely on top of the world person and then the parallel of like the brother who's an absolute nobody fighting for desperation of his own brother and like you think you have hope
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when you watch the ending it just is a larger and more chaotic. It's like Smile 1 kept a door open or like a window open for a new change or for like a tell on or like the next spinoff. Smile 2 was so beyond fucked that I didn't even leave
It
a door
was.
open. The whole fucking garage door was open. The door into the house was open. AC was fully fucking running. And like now you wanna see what Smile 3 is. Like that is what I viewed it. And I'm not gonna say too much, but like if anyone hasn't watched Smile 2, I am
Mhm.
genuinely so beyond impressed with the cinematography, with what the lead, you know, actress did. I mean, she was literally in
Oh,
Aladdin,
she was
Disney,
amazing.
and Lemon Mouth, like that was a Disney Channel star, and you would have never been able to tell just because of how like in depth her character was and how good she was.
Mhm.
Great movie. Anyways, Smile 2, new favorite movie. Just watched it yesterday. Love it. Check it out.
I love that movie. It's so good. And what about, who do you think is the scariest clown and scariest doll in horror?
Um, so I'm not biased. I really did love it.
Hmm.
But like I've never been like a crazy It fan, like since I was little. And like I feel like he became massive now more so, but he was never really known. If I would say the scariest and or creepiest, and maybe this is because I also watched the first movie when I was younger, I would say Art. And the
Yes.
reason why
Yes.
is because like Saw is not a clown, he's a puppet, right? So like that doesn't
Yeah, exactly.
count. And you don't watch Saw to get weirded out. You watch Saw for the gruesomeness and like the whoa. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You watch Art the Clown because of just like that angst and the eeriness of waiting in the background and not knowing when he's coming out next. And then let's be honest, like the killing scenes are actually honestly almost comedic. So you get the suspension, you get the just the general basis of, you know, a little bit of thrasher, a little bit of thriller, and then a little bit of that eeriness. And then he just really is like an iconic like figure. I mean, I feel like people, it's gonna eventually die down, and you're not gonna want to be it for Halloween. Art the
Yeah.
Clown is like in my mind similar to like Ghostface or Saw. Like it's
Oh my
just
God,
it's an
definitely.
image that you are so aware of, and it's iconic, truly,
Yes.
which is crazy because I was also on tour with Chris Jericho, who was in the movies. But I would say Art the Clown. My nephew was Art the Clown for Halloween this year, and I even
Oh
texted
my
Jericho.
God, I love it.
I was like, hey, Chris, guess what my nephew is? And he's like, what is he? And then I sent him a picture of him, and he's like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, I would say Art. I mean, he's got like the Thrasher murders. He's got the creepy lingering. He has an extremely iconic look. There's 3 movies out. And frankly, they've never gotten so generic where like you, like with Saw, you know what's coming next. It's
Hmm.
managed to stay interesting while it was really well produced. There was so much production, like the freaking floating scene and whatnot. Art the Clown manages to keep it almost as if you're still watching like the underground horror movies, like when you were in high school and you found the next scary thing. They
No,
still
I know exactly. Yes.
they
Yes.
managed to keep that kind of essence still, even though it's bigger than it ever was. And keep in mind, you literally got banned from France. Like that's horror for you. There you freaking go. So art,
Exactly.
art,
And,
sure.
and what about, would you say Chucky is the scariest doll, or you think there's any doll scarier than Chucky?
Annabelle.
Annabelle, okay, yeah.
But I'm a possession girly.
Hmm.
You know, I'm a possession girly, so I'm gonna go Annabelle just because Chucky can only do what Chucky can do. Annabelle has had so many spin-offs,
You're
and
right.
they've
You're
used
right.
her storyline. It's not a doll. It's literally an entity where like no one can figure it out. She just so happens to take place. And like the amount of families of distress and no one can catch in it. And like it's a real
Mhm.
thing too. Like, I mean, there actually is a doll that has to get blessed
Oh, I
twice a
know.
day, every day.
I know.
So respectfully, just so I don't get some weird voodoo, like magic attack me. We're gonna go Annabelle. However, there was this one movie. Oh my God, I can't think of the name, and I'm totally Jack Black was in it.
A- And it's a horror movie with him in it.
Yeah, it's like a Goosebumps. There
Oh, the
is that
Goosebumps.
one, what's it called? The little like what was his name? Slappy?
Yeah, the little
He's funny.
doll thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he's technically a doll too. And he's great, but I would definitely choose Annabelle.
Okay. Okay.
I told you
And
I know
what
my
about?
shit. I do watch a
I
lot
know
of
you
horror
really
movies.
do. You really do know your horror films and scary stuff. That's
I
awesome.
I'm horrible with names, but like I can almost like vividly describe scenes. But the ones that have at least scarred me, you know what I mean? And then I somehow still submit myself to this. But yeah, I Annabelle. I mean, dude, you can't go wrong. Like you really
Hmm.
can't.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you dress up this year for Halloween?
This year I didn't dress up. I kind of stopped dressing up for a couple years. I mean,
Okay.
I do photo shoots with like photographers that I'm friends with. Um,
Yeah.
just to like put on Instagram and to like,
Yeah.
keep up the vibe. Um, but I dressed up as a witch, just like a sexy witch. Then I did this like I did three outfits actually. So I guess I still am dressing up. It's just not walking around in person. I was a sexy witch for one, and I had like a big hat and everything. Then
Hmm.
I was like a Dark Lord princess, and I actually had like live cockroaches on me for the photo shoot.
I love it. I love
Isn't
it.
that crazy? And then my final look, I actually did almost like a cosplay of Rob Zombie,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
where I have like the top hat and the glasses and everything. So
Nice. Nice.
because I love Rob Zombie. Like, I mean, I love
Yeah.
I even his movies because he also does that stuff too.
Yes.
Um, so I did like a cosplay of Rob Zombie. When I am celebrating Halloween, I more so do it for the sake of my nephew now. So I'm the cool aunt that will have anywhere from 2 to 4 kids. And we will literally, like, I have a big SUV, or I used to have a Hummer. And we would literally drive with like the trunk open and all the seats flattened out. And the kids will like roll out of the car like they're a SWAT team. And we'll stop in like 6 neighborhoods. I think this year alone, I had 3 boys. They were all 13. And we managed to get 54 pounds of candy.
Damn.
Yeah. And
That's
so
crazy.
one was Scream, one was Art the Clown, and I believe the other one was Jason. They like
Yes.
because they also like to scare people. And so they can hide behind their mask. And I have a video where like two of them are like sitting in the roof, like pretending to be cool while like Bobby Shmurda is like blasting out. And then I keep the middle console filled with like Lunchables and like Capri Sun so they can hydrate. And then they know
Oh
to
my
go down the
God.
street, go around the street and meet me up. And then we just do drop offs. We literally will do like 4 neighborhoods every night. It's insane. There's rules though. I don't allow them to like raid the bowls or take the bowls. You know what I mean? Because I'm willing to waste my gas, but I don't want to ruin the experience for all the little kids there that they go to a
Right,
house and the candy's
right.
not there. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So there are rules and guidelines. But yeah, we had 52 pounds of candy.
Oh my God, that's insane.
I love Halloween. Like it's
I know,
bad.
same, same. My favorite holiday.
I mean, I think you could even tell in our music videos, like even with like the devil effect, I was doing a
Yeah.
lot of like horror references, even Nevermore. Like honestly, Criminal Mind is like the only one that I don't think I managed to put any like Halloweeny references. We recorded a music video where I specifically wanted the camera to spin around me, and it was a Twilight reference. So while it's not
Oh my
Halloweeny,
God.
it's still very reminiscent of vampires and stuff, but I'm obsessed.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And speaking of holidays, we got Christmas coming up. And do you have like a Christmas horror film that you like?
I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas is like a go-to.
All right,
Uh,
yeah.
do I have a Christmas horror film? I mean, Terrifier 3 literally has like a couple
That
Christmas
is
scenes
considered
in
a
it.
Christmas horror, yeah.
Yeah. But no, shockingly not. I am excited though. I mean, I do love like Krampus. I don't know if you know about
Yes.
Krampus.
The
Um,
Krampus, yes.
so I do a lot of Krampus themed stuff, but I don't
Hmm.
think I have any like actual Christmas horror movies that I'm into. It's just more so like lots of Krampus festivals that I go to.
Nice.
I will say though that Spirit Halloween now has a like a Spirit Christmas or
I
Krampus,
heard about that. I haven't seen them yet.
and supposedly they're around. I know there's like two in Florida, and I'm about to do an hour and a half drive just to see it. Because
Okay.
like I do have a black Christmas tree, and I'm all about like the black and white Christmases. Not even necessarily
Nice.
for the spookiness, but it just so happens that I have skulls around my house year round, so it's very fitting. Um, but yeah, no, like I'll just say Terrifier 3. Screw it, because that
Yeah,
was the first thing on my mind.
there
Yeah,
you
yeah, perfect.
go. And do you have any special Christmas traditions, like the food you eat or anything you do for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day?
No, so when I was little, we used to go to church, like my whole family, and then we would go to Denny's at like 2 in the morning and annoy all of the
Yes.
employees until like 4, because we're Catholic. That's, that's our culture, being Albanian and
Yeah,
whatnot.
that's what I am too. I'm Catholic.
Yeah. What's with us Catholic people in scary movies? Have you noticed that there's a comparison? Like, it really does happen where like Catholic people in movies are like hand in hand, like in scary movies,
I
are just
know.
hand in hand. I
I
mean,
know.
maybe it's like all the like possession and like exorcism stuff that we've watched. And then like they talk about it in church low key.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly,
then we
exactly.
believe in it. But then if you ask the priest, you're like insane for asking.
You're right.
Just
They're, they're like, nah,
literally
that's not real.
every possession movie ever, it's Catholic based. Like, why
I know.
wouldn't I ask? Um, but yeah, we used to do that. More so now, it's just making sure to go over after my dad passed, honestly. Now it's just more so
Mhm.
making sure to go over like my brother's house, and we only have one nephew, like one grandkid. So we make sure
Okay.
to like make it all about him. And if there's any gifts that like need to be, made, like gaming chairs or something, we have to like do it the night of. And then me and my nephew don't sleep until like honestly like 4 in the morning. We'll just play video games all day. I always buy him like massive like gift bags, like really big gift bags, and I'll
Yeah.
fill them with a bunch of snacks from around the world or like limited edition things. So I guess maybe that is our tradition now.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
we started a new one. So whenever I go on tour, if I find anything that's like from a state that like Florida doesn't have, I will buy it and I will collect snacks throughout the
Nice.
whole entire tour so we can try new flavors. And then for Christmas, I will like, because he has a mini fridge in his bedroom now. He's the coolest 13-year-old ever. My parents never allowed me to even have food upstairs. Um, but I just basically get him like a really big bag of like all of his like limited edition like Mountain Dews. Like I've overpaid for like certain prime like hydration drinks and like stupid ships from Japan, but that's what we do. And then sometimes we'll pick like 5 or 6 bags and we'll have like samplings where we eat the snacks and we describe the flavors, and he tries to seem so formal, like he knows what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we'll just like set up our gifts and then like eat snacks and talk until like 4 in the morning or until his parents yell at us. So I'm the cool aunt that breaks all the rules, and he knows that. So he gets excited when I come around because he's like, yes, I cannot sleep at
Yes.
4 in the morning or
Someone
until
cool
mom yells.
finally.
Yeah, yeah. But it's cool because I have a 14-year gap with him, but an
Mm-hmm.
18-year gap with his dad. So I'm just like this weird in between person. Like I'm like
Exactly.
I'm not an aunt. I'm kind of like an older sister. Like it's weird. You know what I mean? So my brother's like, dude, stop. And then his son will be like, tell my dad. And then I'm just like the weird in between medium.
And is there any place like being someone who goes on tour, like is there any place you would love to travel to that you haven't seen?
Um, that we haven't seen
Hmm.
on tour or just like in
Or
general
just just going on vacation or going out to see something.
in the US or not in the US.
Let's go not in the US.
So tour wise, I really want to play Brazil or
Hmm.
Germany, because Germany and Brazil are like their fans support rock and roll music,
Yeah,
and specifically female fronted.
yeah.
So I'm just so curious to see like the craziness of like the crowds there and like how real they are there. And ironically, they speak English really well. Like we're the only country where we only speak English. All those other countries, they know how to speak English. And I've been to Germany before, I've just never performed.
Okay.
Travel wise, I would say Japan, just
Yes.
because
Yes.
like their snacks and like I'm not a crazy anime fan, but like I have like I know a little bit about like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and all of that, and like their makeup that they have there, like they're just so high in tech. Do you know what I mean?
I
While
know. I
keeping
know.
like a little bit of like their culture like alive. You know what I mean? So like I was just told recently, like they still hand draw all of their animes, which I was completely unaware of. Like I didn't realize the amount of
I didn't even
money
know
that is put into it. So Japan, or if I can go anywhere, I want to go to Antarctica or the South Pole.
Ooh, okay.
Because I'm not a flat earth conspiracy theorist,
Yeah.
but then like a part of me, I am a conspiracy theorist to a degree. So I just want to know. Like, why aren't you not allowed there?
I like that.
Yeah. Like, I don't believe that the earth is flat, but like after like the alien articles that have been released, now I'm like, wait a minute.
I know, exactly.
Wait a minute. Wait, if that's true, then I have some questions. Now I want to go to Antarctica or the South Pole. Now I'm actually curious.
And I guess the last question I'll ask you is, where can fans follow you and follow your band and keep up with everything?
So the pros of having a female in the band is that we're great at social media. You could literally just search official Clozure on all platforms. One word, at official Clozure, Clozure with the Z. We're literally on Threads. We're on X. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. It's all one handle, official Clozure, or you can go on officialclozure.com and find us there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing a two-part interview. Like, this is so much fun. Like, you're really awesome. I'm really happy we got a chance to talk in person, and now through Zoom. Like, you're so awesome. Like, it's
Thank you.
always fun talking to you. You are fun and chill. I could see why your nephew calls you the fun aunt.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
you definitely are fun and outgoing. So it's always fun talking to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And sorry that I don't know how to charge my phone, but I feel like it was nice because now we got to see like not so sober me and sassy me. And now we got to have like me that can actually remember movies and remember these questions for horror. Because I don't know if like 4 espresso martinis me would have even been able to like name a movie name, let alone, that. But thank you for having me
Of
2 times
course.
in one
Of
time.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, anytime you want to come back on, any new songs, tours, whatever, anytime you want to come back on and chat, I'm 100% in.
Dude, for sure. Thank you so much for having me and for like letting my band borrow your platform just for like, a slip.
Yeah, like I said, when I saw you in concert, like, your voice, I was completely blown away with how like powerful your voice is.
Thank you. I actually got kicked out of choir, so that means a lot to me.
All right, well,
Can't get any more rock and roll than that, can you? Right? Kicked out
I
of
know
choir, joins a
exactly.
rock band. There you go.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, dude.
You got it. Well, have a fun night. Yes, definitely. Have a fun night.
You too.